Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cupid's Coach podcast. I'm your host, Julie Ferman, inviting you, as I always do, to transform me to we through your very own process of doing dating better. That means sort of leveling up your dating game. And I have a really interesting person here today. His name is Deekron, and he's going to be talking with us about how to be a better human in the business workplace, but then also in our personal spaces. And those qualities that we're working on professionally very often translate to personal and the other way around. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here, Dukran.
Thank you, Julie. Good to be here. I'm excited to get into some of these topics.
Yeah, and you're in New York City, and most of your clients are professionals, attorneys, they're high powered people.
Yes, definitely high achievers, folks who are driven and have gotten to the point in life where their outside success is good, but they're not feeling great internally. Either their health is suffering, their confidence is not what they want it to be, they're not quite so fulfilled, they're looking for purpose. And I really work with them to do what you say, transform. So when we transform me to we, that actually is a journey. And it's a journey I had to undergo because when I was in my mid 30s, I decided to leave corporate America, but I was also very lost during that time. I was directionless. I was suffering from anxiety. I just didn't feel like I was on my purpose, and I felt very trapped, and just my life wasn't moving forward. And so I started seeking answers. And luckily, at the time, my cousin was doing personal development work, transformation work. I didn't really know what that was. Initially, I didn't think I needed it. But the more stuck I realized I was, I said, you know what, I want to seek some answers. And that's what started me to like learn myself better. And that self awareness I gained in that process has served me tremendously.
I'm glad to hear you say it. Women are always coming to me asking to meet men who are oriented around personal growth and development. They're communicative, they have a lot of emotional intelligence, and they're sort of craving it. And very often that comes from having been in relationships with somebody who didn't have enough
Mm,
capacity in those areas.
yeah.
And so it's interesting that you help people with it. You help professionals with this piece. It's like you can try to get more successful. You can try to earn more money. You can try to be more organized, but aren't the reasons for whatever we're lacking, struggling with on the inside.
Hmm. Totally.
So, how much of it is self esteem related, confidence related? How much of our issues in these areas are related to self esteem and confidence?
Well, I think a lot of it, Julie, because we all as humans, we're kind of we have self-doubt. It's just part of our wiring. And the self-doubt, it comes from this need for survival. It's a subconscious survival mechanism that's running our day-to-day thoughts, and we don't totally realize it. So when we're feeling things like imposter syndrome, even like when we're on a date, we're feeling like, am I good enough? Am I impressing this person? Am I going to be accepted by this person? That acceptance is what we all seek. And that's because our ancestors needed that acceptance from the people around them in order to survive. Like if the tribe didn't protect you and take you in, then you'd be out on your own, and then you'd be in big trouble because then other tribes can harm you, etc. And so we're always looking for that acceptance. We're always looking for, am I good enough? Do they accept me? Do they like me? Am I smart enough, funny enough, rich enough, etc.? So that's where it comes from. And I think we all battle with that, but a lot of people aren't aware of it. It's just running the show. And that creates being, this feeling of being uncomfortable, this feeling of like always internal stress is what I call it. Just internal stress caused from these things. And that's what makes us want to be a perfectionist or be a pleaser. It stems from that.
It's very interesting. So, when we're having stress, anxiety, worry, all of that, we're not really thinking about that it's related to the way we were decades and centuries ago when we needed to be accepted, we needed to be liked, we needed to be part of a group in order
Hmm.
to survive.
Yep.
Interesting.
100%. Yeah. We don't think about it, but I think it's very important context. And that was one of my big realizations is to help people pinpoint why they, let's say, emotionally eat or drink when they're stressed, or why they're trying to over please people at work and just overextend themselves and start burning out. That's really where it stems from.
Yeah. And so when we look hard at the challenges that we face, and we realize that part of it is because we want to please, we want to be accepted, we want to be liked. Well, okay, that's a nice realization. Now what?
Yeah, now it's like when you have that awareness, then you reframe it and you say, okay, I could either let these irrational fears choose how I live and the decisions I make, or I could just catch it when it comes up and say, okay, let me take a step back and catch myself people pleasing, catch myself saying yes to the boss again just so that I could, get the promotion, yes, boss, I'll work late again, even though I don't want to, even though I should really be taking care of my health and going to the gym or something like that.
So again, it's related to finding the balance, you know. You want to do a good job for your boss and for the people in your life. You want your children to know that you love them, that you remembered to give them
Hmm.
breakfast and you remember to remind them about their science test or whatever the thing
Yeah.
is. But how do we know when we're at the point where we've compromised ourselves too much? We're just exhausted and depleted.
Exactly. Like I think your soul will tell you. You'll start feeling unfulfilled. You'll start feeling like something is off. I'm not happy. It comes like that. That's how it starts speaking to you. It starts nudging you like you should be doing a better job with, your self-care or with your boundaries or with, taking care of what makes you happy.
All right. And then what? We've identified the problem. We know the source of it. We know where
Yeah.
we're lacking. Is it just a matter of hearing a good insight and then practicing it, putting these principles into action in our lives?
Yeah, very much so. The key word that you said right there, Julie, which a lot of people underestimate the importance of, is the practice. It's the repetition because what happens is we are sort of unconscious of these things most of our lives. And if we grow up as people pleasers, for example, well, that becomes a fixed way of your personality. And a lot of people can't even see beyond that. They're like, oh, that's how I've always been. It's just who I am. But it's actually not who you are. It's who you created yourself to be because you thought that was going to get you safety. You thought that was going to make you comfortable and win acceptance. And you've done it for so many years. Now you need to start practicing the new way. It's almost like if you grow up right handed, and now I'm telling you, well, now you actually need to be left handed. Well, can you make that transition? Yes, it's not easy, but it takes practice, it takes repetition because the neural connections in the brain don't get wired just by doing something one time. We don't learn how to drive a car, play a musical instrument doing it one time. That has to be done repeatedly until the brain starts to create the neural connections. So to become not a people pleaser, even though you've been your whole life, or to become not a perfectionist, even though you've been your whole life, it takes catching and repeating the new identity, the new way of being and thinking.
And when we mess up, to apologize, make amends, promise to try better next time, and to forgive ourselves and to forgive others when they mess up as well, right?
Totally, totally. 'Cause the ego is always going to judge. You're going to be judging yourself when you're in ego. You're going to be judging others when you're in ego. And when you see that criticism, either you're criticizing other people or you're criticizing yourself. You're in judgment. You're in ego. So that's another thing to be self-aware of. Is like, okay, let me take a step back.
I like that you're talking about that because dating is full of ego. And how I know that is because you just told me that ego is related to criticism and judgment, right?
Hmm.
So when we're on a date or when we're reviewing somebody's profile and we're finding flaw, 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 not enough, not good enough, not my
Yeah.
type, critical that way.
Yeah.
It's related to ego and we're protecting ourselves from making a mistake, right?
100%. 100%. Either I think it's one of two ways. Either we're trying to protect ourselves from making a mistake, or we're trying to find somebody who checks certain boxes that makes us feel a certain way and validate ourselves. Like, look who I'm with.
Validate to ourselves, but then also, like, what's the bigger issue? Is it that I want to feel like I'm with a good man who's, conscientious and responsible and trustworthy and looks good and makes money and takes care of me, is generous,
Hmm.
all that? Or because I want other people to think well of me because I chose well?
I think it's both.
I
I
do.
think it's both.
Because, you show up at the party with somebody who just doesn't fit the part. you
Hmm.
know, doesn't look like anybody you've ever dated, doesn't look like the type of person you normally spend time with, and they're going to judge you, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Psst, 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 psst.
Yeah, they're gonna, look at the person that Deekron is with.
Yeah.
Must have settled for
Mhm.
the older lady. He must have settled for the fat chick. He must have
Mhm.
settled for the person who never went to college or whatever the thing is
Mhm.
that they're going to be
Mhm.
judging on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really sinister, and I really encourage people who are dating to look deeply at what their values are, what they really care about, what they care about,
Yes.
not so much their families. It happens in families that are really tight and sort of ethnically
Mm.
did like
That'll be me.
yeah. What's your family? Your last name is Krikorian, so you are Armenian.
Yes, very good. My dad's Armenian and my mom's Romanian.
Oh, okay, so they wanted you to marry somebody similar, did they?
Yeah, they do. My dad especially pushed that narrative for a long time, and I did not go that route. I married somebody outside of my culture. She was Latina actually, so that was my first marriage, and I mean I've just gravitated towards that culture more. And so my current girlfriend is also from Latin America. So yeah, they definitely push that, wanting somebody similar because I don't know. I think because maybe that generation feels there's a certain comfort level with that. Like we know how they're brought up because we assume they're brought up like we brought you up, and there's that sort of synergy or those similarities, and they value that pretty highly, which I understand. But I've always been more driven by connection, not just by that checklist.
Yeah. And so how long have you had your current girlfriend?
It's been a year and a half now.
A year and a half. Does your family like her?
They haven't met her yet. We've been dating long distance, so she's not here in New York. And
That's nice and safe. You don't have to
from the little
introduce her to the parents yet. That's nice and safe.
Not just yet, no. They, from the little bit they've heard about her, I think I've gotten some disapproval, but so be it.
Yeah, I understand. It's a challenging situation. My husband's Jewish, and his parents always drilled it in. You're going to marry a nice Jewish,
Mhm.
very nice Jewish girl. And by the time he was 44 and not married, they didn't care quite as much. And so when we finally got together and he called his parents to tell him, that he had a girlfriend, um, the first thing that his mother, feisty Frida Ferman, asked was, "Well, I hope she's Jewish." And Bill said, "Actually, mom, she's not." And she got kind of quiet and she said, "Does she sit down to pee?" Like, she's a girl. Okay, she doesn't have a penis. She actually okay, okay, that's
Very
good.
basic criteria.
And they were wonderful. They were incredible, parents, and then Gil didn't feel comfortable raising the children in a Christian environment, which is where I had come from, and I'd been mostly going to, like, unity churches, non-denominational kinds of churches, so I wasn't really considering myself a practicing Christian at that time, more so today, but, I was interested in Judaism, so I studied everything. We raised our boys, in the Jewish traditions, and
Awesome.
it's nice to look for commonalities and insights and valuable lessons whenever we're exposed to a different culture, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Jewish culture is very it's very ancient. It's very long. It's long running. Like they have a lot of customs and traditions, and and Armenians are the same way. As people, we've been around almost the same amount of time. So I think the longer a culture is around, kind of in a way, the more dominant it's going to be because it's going to have more to teach. It's going to have more to want to pass down. So
Yeah.
that's in our house and our household too. The same. My mom is Romanian, but kind of like you, she adopted our language, our customs, our culture, our church, and so Armenian is sort of like the dominant culture in the home growing up.
It's interesting, and then when the kids get a little older, then the pressure's a little bit, less, And so now we go to temple sometimes. Well, I'll get Gill at church sometimes. It's amazing.
Uh,
We just relocated to Denver, and my son's been going to this amazing church, and it's huge. And the music is incredible. It's like going to a
yeah.
rock concert, and it's very inspirational. So, yeah, experience different types of cultures instead of just
Mhm.
being in one lane. And I think we probably become richer, fuller people. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think it depends what people value most. Like you said, the values. Some people, for them, like the culture and keep maintaining that consistency is like of prime importance. And if it is, my opinion, that's great. God bless. For me, like I said, it's more about connection. So if I feel a right connection with a person, the culture to me is secondary. So that's how I've approached it.
All right, Deekron, you told me about you met this wonderful girl a year and a half ago. I love how you met. And so there's a fun little place in my YouTube channel where I keep track of stories, how we actually met. And I try to keep them to about 45 seconds or so. So tell us how you met your girlfriend.
So it was a great story. Rebecca and I met at a Halloween party, which was a vampire theme and was actually hosted at a funeral home in North Miami Beach.
Were people like, getting in the caskets and taking pictures and things?
There was an actor in an open casket who was pretending he was dead, but every once in a while he would just jump out and scare people.
It's creepy. It's a great way to meet people is for, some type of a Halloween party. I don't know if you're aware, but what's happening right now in the dating culture is the online dating sites and the apps are actually kind of tanking right now.
Yep, yep.
Look over it. And I think AI didn't help because you read these profiles, you
Mhm,
don't really know who wrote it, right? And it sounds a little bit too perfect, and you're wondering who wrote it. All of these
mhm.
reasons and the ghosting and the dishonesty and all of that. So now
Yeah.
that we're well past the throes of the lockdowns and the COVID era, we have it in our world, but we've learned how to deal with it. Now people want to be in person again, and the in person activities are going up, and more
Mhm.
interesting things are coming about. And so I really encourage people listening, go to the Halloween party at the funeral parlor, right? There's this wonderful company I just discovered recently. It's called Time Left, and they do these wonderful little dinner parties. It's not just for single people; it's for anybody. Since I'm new in Denver, I'll be signing up for some of
Mhm.
these dinners, and it's just like a carefully curated group of
Yeah.
six people. They don't even tell you where the restaurant is until the day before or the morning of. I mean, and you can't like flake because there'll be five other people there, right? And I imagine if you
Mhm.
flaked, they wouldn't keep you around; they'd kick you out. I like the concept, and people have been telling me that their experiences have been really good. They've been meeting great people. Have you seen stuff like that in New York coming about, different things that are active, social that way?
I have. I've seen them a little bit more focused on like an industry, like let's say like startup founders who want to meet other founders kind of thing. So I've been invited to dinners like that in the past when I had my tech startup. And there was also an event like that in Miami. And I think it was a little more single oriented, but it kind of like anybody can go. And it was just a way to become social and meet more people over a nice dinner or a nice event.
It's amazing. I watched what happened in Santa Fe. Gil and I were there from 2016 up until
Hmm.
3 days ago. And there's this lady there named Maggie who created a meetup group. If you're listening and you're in Santa Fe and you're not part of Maggie's meetup group, jump on the meetup and find her because it's called like We Match, We Mingle, whatever. And she has done so many events. And like so many of us who got into a niche, we were looking to solve a problem of our own. And in solving the problem of our own, we got good at it. And then we
Yeah.
started providing services for other people. Was it
Mhm.
similar for you? I mean, why did you become this coach who helps people expand in this way?
Yeah, great question, Julie. So it's kind of like what I said earlier. When I was in my mid 30s, I had hit this wall, and I felt like, I felt anxious. I felt like time was running out on me. I wasn't having fun. I felt kind of trapped and just not moving forward with my life. And having done the sort of the mindset work, especially that I did, I mean, I had a transformation in mind and body. But the mind transformation piece, it just makes such a big impact on people. It really frees them from the things that are holding them back. Blind spots, limitations, limiting beliefs, things that they don't know are running the show, making them feel uncomfortable or following the same patterns or attracting the same people into their life, dating the same people over and over. It's like they can't get out of that loop and they don't understand why. And the minute you can reveal that for them and free them from those patterns, from those beliefs, it allows them for their real person, the real self to come out and not have to be the pleaser, not have to, be a carbon copy of your parents or just do what society says or be a perfectionist. You can actually put that aside, listen to your soul, and start living true to who you really are.
It's beautiful. Um, I love having men on the show and in my boot camps who are naturally curious, they're growth oriented, because we get to see into your world. And it's clear that you're somebody who has done his inner work and you've studied it and you practice and you walk your talk. So, in your relationship, who's the leader in that part, the interpersonal dynamic of your relationship? Is it usually you who says, you know what, sweetie, we got to sit down and talk about something? Or is it her? Who usually, or both?
So when you say who's the leader, do you mean as far as like personal growth or the one who opens up hard conversations?
Aren't they the same thing, really?
Yeah, they're related.
Of stuff. When things are starting to go awry, when there's been an explosion, when there's been
Hmm.
a misunderstanding, a serious miscommunication,
Mm-hmm.
you're grumpy and you're like not wanting to
Yeah.
talk to each other. Somebody has to break the ice. Is it usually you or is it usually her? I'm assuming that you've never not had a conflict ever.
No, I can't say we've never had a conflict, but I will also say that this is a relationship that just it almost feels seamless, like it just flows. Like we don't have a lot of blow-ups, we don't hold grudges, we're never nasty towards each other. We don't take things personally. Like we're very like we lead with our heart. And that's I've been looking for someone like her for a long time. She's very heart-centered and that's what I connect with. And so she loves me unconditionally, like in a way I've never experienced before. Yeah, yeah. So we don't have a lot of that, but when we do have that, I think in a sense it's been her in a very loving way because me knowing also learning about myself, I know that my attachment style is a little bit more avoidant. So if
Ah,
I'm unhappy about something, I'll pull away, I'll withdraw, I'll go quiet. And then she'll be the one sensing there's something off and she'll like lovingly bring me back.
so I'm delighted to hear about this relationship. It sounds like it's got legs, as they say. Did you 2 find out early on you didn't know I was gonna grill you about your personal life, did you?
No, this is great. It's fun.
So when you 2 first got together, did you talk about what I call primary dating purpose? That's actually Alison Armstrong's term where,
Mhm.
what I'm really doing dating for is did you both talk about it? Your long-term goal for what
No.
you want out of relationship and what you want out of your
Not
life?
initially. No, not initially. We had a lot of passion, a lot of connection. We were just enjoying that. We were just exploring that part of it.
Ooh,
And I think over time, yes, then we started talking about it. Obviously, when I made the move to New York, things, well, then it was like had to be discussed because like, where are we going? What's happening? Are going into another city? Are we going to try to do this long distance or not? I thought things were going to end personally, but somehow we're still together and we're making it work. And she comes up like every month. Sometimes I go back down there. So that's how it's been.
beautiful. All right, here's to long distance. And I have seen more long distance relationships work and stick since
Mm,
COVID than I've ever seen. I've been doing this for 35 years.
mm.
And now, I mean, people will send me an email, "Hey, Julie, you know what? I'm moving to Boston. Take me out of your database," and I'm like, I don't think so. First, let me look and see who I have in Boston. And by
Ah,
the
yeah.
way, stick around because tomorrow there may be somebody registering with me in Boston.
Then that's so much better. That's so smart, Julie. And one of my coaches, in growing my coaching practice, I was in a program, and he said, if you want to prove that you can help people, help people. Just show them. And that's what you're doing. You're actually helping them before charging. And I think that's brilliant.
Oh, I love that. The next time I get the microphone and I'm standing up in front of a room with 200 matchmakers there, I'm going to say, I'm going to take this little clip and I'm going to, because people go to like a weekend class and then they get their business cards done and I'm a matchmaker, but they haven't done any matching yet and they don't have a
Mhm.
database yet. But you're not,
Yeah,
and I don't even like the term matchmaker because I can't make
yeah,
a match. I can't
yeah,
you go for each other. I can offer a possibility. So I'm a
yeah.
possibilities broker. I'm a relationship catalyst. That's what I am.
I like it. And similar to what you're saying, Julie. So yes, and a lot of people could just hang up a shingle or get a business card and say, "Yeah, I'm a coach." But really, what I do also, one of the things I do to stand out is I offer a free 5-day one-on-one challenge with folks, and I help come up with a roadmap for them to, overcome some of the mental or even, physical or routine or lifestyle blocks that are getting in the way of them, sort of like performing, thinking, feeling, and performing their best. So it's like, okay, you don't feel great right now. Let's dive into it. Here's, by the end of 5 days, I'm going to get you super clear and you're going to see exactly what you have to do to overcome some of these blockers so you can feel more confident, you can have more energy, you can, be more, on your purpose and on your game at work or at life, in dating, what have you. And then, by showing them the transformation roadmap, then they could either go ahead and try to do it on their own or they could hire me to work with them. So that's kind of how I do my sort of like,
I
get to know me free first.
That's a really interesting process. So 5 days, how much time every day?
30 minutes.
And
Yeah, 30
so
minutes, a little bit of homework in between, like 5 to 10-minute kind of assignment.
and you do that first 5-day experience for free?
Yep.
You are special. You
Mhm.
are very special. That's an awful lot of generosity.
Yeah, yeah, it's a new model that I've been doing lately, and there's only so many I could do per month, but I do have room, so I would love to show you what it's
Interesting.
about.
You started this transformational journey in your 30s. How old are you now?
I'm 53.
You don't look 53. You're like the rare example of the guy who actually could say that and not be lying.
All right.
Well, there's a whole bunch of them. We all think we look younger than our age. We all think we have a great sense of humor. We all think we're good drivers. And we all think it's the other person's breath that smells. And,
Yeah.
it goes on and on. All right. So, one of your specialties is helping people balance work and play, responsibilities and personal time. Help us understand how we can get better at that because I think everybody listening, let's just say 85% of the people who are listening have some sort of a struggle with that. What would you say about balance that we should really be working on?
Yeah, so my view on that, Julie, is you don't find balance by just trying to be more balanced. You find balance by finding the source of the imbalance.
Mm,
Is you have to try to understand what's driving me to either, like I said, work too hard, overcommit, please too much, not say no, go, 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 go. Like what's driving that? Like so my brand is called a healthy high performer. And part of that is having a healthy relationship to success. Is
mhm,
like, are you pursuing success for the right reasons and in the right ways? Do you have enough, like you said, systems, habit support so that you don't get burnt out, so that you don't overcommit, so that you do pay attention to self care. And unfortunately, what a lot of high achievers fall into the trap of like all or nothing. So they're perfectionists, and instead of they say something like, "Well, I can't do this right now, but when I get done with this deadline, I'm going to pay more attention to my health."
yeah.
Or when I get done with whatever, I'm going to clean out the garage, right? So they wait for the perfect time and they don't do what's called imperfect actions. They don't do the little things which could
Mhm,
actually add up. So if I tell, some of my clients who want to work with me, let's say to transform the body piece, I say, instead of waiting to the until you get an hour to do that incredible sweat dripping workout, just take a 10-minute walk after dinner. But most high achievers don't think that way. They think like, well, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to do it perfectly, or I don't want to do. I don't want any part of it. It's like, oh, this week is a wash, so just forget it. I'll just start again next week. But it's
yeah.
not that way. You really have to keep yourself in that groove because if you don't, you lose momentum. And when you lose momentum, your motivation sinks. You start feeling guilty. You start feeling out of a groove. So same can apply for somebody who has to be doing selling more. You have to consistently do your follow-ups and not wait for the perfect time. You just got to keep on it.
Yep.
So that's what creates imbalance is that, all or nothing.
We will put off doing something because, well, it's not a good time. I have a broken foot and I'm not going to be able to walk for 3 months. Does that
Yeah.
mean it's actually a really good time to put some things into place, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If we focus on the obstacle, it's like we make the obstacle bigger than us. So that's the
Hmm.
thing is don't make the obstacle bigger than you because if you do, your mind will come up with lots of creative reasons not to do something. The mind's natural tendency is to resist action, resist taking a risk, resist doing, exerting yourself, resist moving forward, trying something new. It's always the default is always resistance. And so if you buy into that resistance and you don't do the little imperfect actions like you did one draw at a time, it just becomes very daunting and we'll just put it off. The mind is always going to put it off. Like Tony Robbins says, the reason we procrastinate is because we associate the pain of doing something now greater than putting it off. But we don't realize what the future pain is actually going to look like if we continue to put it off. And that's the same like if it were in debt. If it's like it's more painful to have to pay down my debt now. I'd rather just go on vacation and not worry about my debt. But eventually that's going to catch up to you. And so you did the one draw a day, which was great. But if you hadn't, imagine the pain you'd be going through having to do that all of it at the last minute. You'd probably wear yourself out and maybe break both feet.
Yeah, and it's not a lot different than budgeting, working on paying down debt, dropping pounds. Oh my goodness. I'm with my 3 boys, and it's like Seinfeld, right? There's just food all the time, and I can't eat like this with these guys. So, if I keep doing it, if I keep going out with them and eating the way they eat, well, I'm not gonna be a slender woman anymore. I'm gonna be a chunky woman, and I don't wanna be a chunky woman. So, you know, those little things, like making eggs instead of saying yes to waffles and bacon this morning. It was a good choice.
Mhm, mhm.
You gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah, yeah. A little bit is way better than putting it off. I say something is 100% better than nothing.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of a way that you used to be pretty sloppy and weak and kind of disorganized and didn't have your act together, and now you really do because you took these little steps?
Hmm. I'm gonna have to think about that. Julie, I had the blessing of being grown up to being raised by a very disciplinarian father. So I didn't have a lot of stuff like that happening for me. Although I'm trying to think, what would I procrastinate around? I would say it was sometimes it's around sales in my business. I do procrastinate around that. Um, and I used to do that even more when I was, before my transformation, before the work I did, the inner work I did. Being a perfectionist, you would, you know, let's say try to do the perfect sales call at the perfect time and set it in a perfect way. And if it didn't go well, then you blame yourself. And then you become disheartened. And I'd be like, oh, I just want to quit. So I would deal with that. That was like one of the struggles that I had to overcome.
That's a natural struggle for business people. Uh, and I think it's even harder for women.
Mm,
It's harder for us, I think, to ask for money, to ask for commitment.
mhm.
We
Yeah.
we have to exercise those muscles to stand our ground, hold our space.
Set the boundary, make the
Yeah,
request. Mm-hmm.
hold the boundary without emotion too. That's what's really hard
Mm-hmm. Yep.
is to set a boundary and create a guideline without emotion being in the swing of things. How do you deal with that? You seem like you're very calm. I can't imagine you yelling and screaming and being a total a-hole, but I'm sure that you have moments.
I have my moments. Yeah, my a-holeness expresses itself more in terms of like shutting down, or being judgmental. It's not. I don't explode on people. I'm like usually not like that. But yeah, that's usually my not fun side is
You'll
just like
be a bit of a
shutting
bear
down.
and you'll retreat.
I'll retreat. Yeah, I'll punish you by being silent or making you
Yeah.
feel like you're not worthy of me, or things like that.
Yeah, I'll
That's a,
show her. Yeah, it's great that we know what our weaknesses are and our tendencies
hmm
are. And everybody who's listening, I really want you to look at what are your patterns when you're at your worst. Are
hmm
you aggressive and attacking? Are you retreating and withdrawing from the situation so they don't get you? I mean, it's like there's
Mhm.
some kind of an FU in there somewhere, right?
Mhm. For
Yeah.
sure.
I just did an earlier recording and we were talking about narcissistic tendencies and people who are narcissistic by nature don't care about the way the other person feels. They don't care.
Correct.
It's not important.
Correct. Yeah, they don't have empathy. And I didn't know that much about narcissism until I dated one.
Yeah.
And this is what broke the camel's back as far as dating apps for me, because that's the last person I met on a dating app. That was prior to my current relationship. And it's funny, Julie, I started online dating since like the 90s. I
You
literally
were an
was like on
early adapter.
AOL, Yahoo, like all that. I explored all that early on.
Oh,
I've dated a lot. I've gotten to know a lot of women. I've been in a lot of relationships. But yeah, narcissism is very deadly. It is one trait that when the more I found out about it, I was like, wow, like I can't believe people actually can think this way because they really don't value human life. They don't value other people but themselves. And they
right.
always look to extract what they need from others and then discard them.
That's right.
And at
They don't
first they
take
will fool
responsibility.
you.
It's never their fault. It's always the other person's fault. Yeah.
Totally, totally. Always critical,
Mhm.
gaslighting, just so they can, look good. It's yeah, I think I'd say if anything, your listeners will have to be on guard because the sweeter you are, the more like the nicer you are, the more they will kind of feast on you, the more they will look for you because that's what allows them to control you. They tap into your vulnerability.
Because they know that we want to be liked, we want to be accepted, we want to be part of the group,
Yeah,
and then by threatening that that's gonna be taken away, they get what
yeah.
they want. It's very manipulative.
Yeah, love bombing. Love bombing is I'm going to make you feel loved so that you need it more, so that you become addicted to it.
Ah, I hadn't heard it done that way. Wow, that's wild stuff. So, are you listening, folks? We've all got our stuff and we're all working through it. And I'm really happy that we have this new relationship with Deekron. Your last name is Krikorian. So, if people want to find
Yes.
you, they go to, and Deekron is Deekron, Deekron Krikorian. I've never met a Deekron before.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty popular name in my culture, but it's spelled differently. The way I spell it, it's more phonetic. And funny enough, for anyone listening, I'm the only Deekron on LinkedIn. So if you just wrote Deekron, you'd find me there. So I'm the only one on Facebook because the spelling of the name is unique.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, I'm yeah. I was even able to get my email address at just my first name at gmail.com, which I don't think anybody could get like Mike at gmail.com or Jenny at gmail.com. But I literally have Deekron at gmail.com. That's my email address.
So, thank you for all the beautiful work that you do. Is there anything that you want our listeners to do specifically with you? Do you want them to email you, subscribe to your YouTube? What would be the thing?
Yeah, so I'd be happy to just talk for a minute about my book. So my book is called The Nine Shifts. It's a best-selling transformation book. I published it in January 24. And it really is kind of a manual that helps us be our best in the three categories of our mind, our body, and our life. So it's a holistic approach to really transforming and being the best version of yourself so that you can create the outside results you're looking to create, whether it's in your business, in your dating and personal life, in your spiritual life, in your community. Like the best version of you is going to really hit those big goals you say you have. So this is going to help you get there in a way that's much faster and more sustainable versus like using willpower, just trying to work through all the time. It's a very holistic. I don't want to say spiritual, has some spiritual aspect to it, but it's very mindset focused. So the book subtitle is The Mind First Method to Transform Your Body and Your Life. So you're really hitting all three areas.
All
So again, it's
right,
called
I
the
love it.
nine shifts, like the number nine. So the nine shifts. Yeah.
Nine shifts. Well, I want to shift in all nine ways. So I'll catch up with you later after the recording. And I'm really appreciative of your time. Thank you for being here with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Julie. It's been fun talking to you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, are you listening? Are you paying attention? Are you going to work on your 9 shifts? I am. Do it with me. It's been so fun. The podcast, whatever I need to work on is the people that I bring on because, hey, I get a 45 minutes of free stuff with Deekron Krikorian. When does that happen, right?
Yeah, well, that's what the universe wanted, so here we are.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being on the listenership, for being here, subscribing, like and subscribe, review us, all that good stuff. And if you haven't registered with me, goodness gracious, julieferman.com, get busy. And then if you haven't finished your profile, oh my goodness, we need to do that. If you haven't had your 30-minute call with me, we need to do that. If you haven't done your 295 consultation with me, well, that's the next thing to do. And beyond that, if you love what we're doing here, jump in on boot camp. Those are the things. So go out there, would you, and transform me to we for yourself. Thanks for listening.